Hey guys, welcome to my replay video of Step 7 Winner's Choice $12,000 prize package. This is the structure of the tournament, or sit and go. The blinds go up every 6 minutes, pretty slow structure. First place gets 12,000, which you can take in tournament money for a 5% fee, I believe, from full tilt, conversion fee. Second and third basically get a redo. You get another $2,100 ticket to play the same tournament over again, or fourth through six get a $640 ticket for step 6. So it's very top heavy sit and go, so it really helps to play for the win, but there are some ICM considerations to take in effect as you're playing these, going through the different levels when you're on different bubbles, for like 7th place, and when there's 4 players left. Certainly you want to take some of those things into consideration when playing these. It was a really tough tournament because obviously with this level of buy-in, it's going to be mostly very good players. So without further ado, let's jump into the hands. I'm going to show every hand that I played in this tournament. And looking at the table, I had all of the players marked. 5 out of 6, or 5 of the players I had marked as sharks, like the best rating I could give a player. And there were only a couple of weak spots, and then the other player was a winning player as well. So it was a really tough table. So I'll just go ahead and start the replayer. My strategy early on is pretty tight. I'm just gonna, play mostly my value hands, and maybe do a little bit of stealing from late position, but pretty much I'm just gonna play pretty tight against these good players. Bill Gaze is a full tilt pro. Phil Bort is a high stakes winner. Jake Schindler is a high stakes winner as well. Brenador is a good player. Young Jedi is a shark as well as this player here. So it's a really tough table, but for the most part, I'm just playing tight early on and trying to just basically survive in the beginning stages. So here you can see I fold the 10-6. Okay, the next hand I fold the 3-9. Okay, now we have Queen 10 here in the big blind and a raise in early position. I elect to fold there again, not wanting to play the hand out of position against a good player. Raising from early position, I think, is the best play there. Okay, again, we have a decent hand, but we're in the small blind, so we'll be out of position post flop. So again, I just select to fold the hand and continue playing tight. Here I fold Jack 7 offsuit on the button, and nothing too fancy there. Okay, again with a raise in front, I'm going to go ahead and fold. And there wasn't, I don't believe there was an elimination on this table for quite a few hands, so most of the players are playing pretty similar strategy to what I am as well. There's really no need to take any unnecessary risks early in the tournament like this. And I like these step tournaments. It's a way to play a little bit above your bankroll. If you win these seats into bigger steps, you can really get a big payout from sit and goes, which is nice. Okay, and again I just fold to 8-6, so I really haven't even played a hand yet here. Queen deuce, again I'm just folding. Okay, so Top Fuel here, he got down in chips there, lost a big pot. Okay, you see I just fold to the raise there, pretty standard. Again, we have a decent hand, ace 9 offsuit, but it's just going to get I'm going to get into trouble with it post flop, calling a raise out of position. So I like to just go ahead and fold it. Okay, and we have our first elimination there. So one player down, and it's I believe he was a really good player too. So never a bad thing to see a good player get knocked out. Okay. The queen 3 here, I could have made a steal attempt there, but again, I just elect to fold it. So I really haven't even played a hand yet, and I want to, you know, get a little more active so that the first time I raise, you know, it's not, people will give me more action. So I do go ahead and make a steal attempt here with 9-6 suited, and it works out, and I take down the blinds. It's a nice thing to throw an occasional suited connector in there like that, just to, you know, mix up your game. And when you do connect on a flop, you can win a big pot because players never expect you to raise a hand like that in early position. And it also gets you more action when you do have a big hand like aces or kings there, since you know, players know that you're capable of raising light there. You'll get more action from your big hands. Okay, so here with the 3 bets, I just go ahead and fold again. Okay, so now we have pocket tens, and you know, this isn't you know, against a decent player. You know, he's min raising here, and I have a stack about pretty close to 10 times the size of his bet, so I just go ahead and shove it in. Actually, this player I think is one of the not the strongest player at the table, and I think he's more likely to call my 3 bet because of that. If it was a real good player, I would make a smaller 3 bet here, trying to induce them to shove on me with a 4 bet light. But since he's a weaker player, I think he's gonna just flat call my smaller 3 bets too often. And with pocket tens, there's typically going to be at least 1 overcard or maybe 2 overcards on the flop, and it's going to be tough to play out of position. So I like to just shove it in to make the hand easier to play. It's definitely way ahead of his raising range, and you know, when he does call it off, a lot of times we're going to be coin flipping, and occasionally I will be dominated by a bigger pair here, but I'm willing to take that chance to take this pot down right here, or if he calls, obviously show it down. And he ends up folding, so I just take that down, and it works out nicely. Okay, so next hand I fold, and they get it in with queens against jacks. And again, a good player gets eliminated, which is always a nice thing. Okay, so here I make a steal attempt with the ace-4 offsuit. You know, with the short stack in the big blind, I was going to call a shove there if he shoved. So, to answer your question, if that's what you were thinking. All right, so the short stack doubles up, so he's back in the game. All right, so I fold 10-7 offsuit. Skip to the next hand. Okay, and this was a key hand for me in this tournament. Okay, so let me pause this and talk about this. So he raises on the button. I perceive him to be probably the weakest player left in the tournament. So I want to play most of my pots against him if I can. And he's raising on the button. He's been pretty active, 3-betting quite a bit, and you know, raising quite a bit. So he's going to have a wide range here, and I defend with a decent hand. I flop top pair. And on this board, you know, I think I have the best hand here a very, very high percentage of the time. I check to him. I was considering check calling or check raising, depending on the size and timing of his bet. But he checks it back. And so I think I have the best hand here. In the turn, you know, there could be draws that were picked up, or he may have a 9 himself. He could have queen jack, he could have diamonds, so I go ahead and bet here, protecting my hand and charging draws, and he makes a min raise. So, you know, he pretty much is only repping a set of threes, a set of fives that were slow played on the flop, which, you know, it's questionable whether he would even slow play those and check the flop with those hands, but he may, and maybe a set of nines, but nines probably bet the flop. So, and since I have a 10 in my hand, it discounts the probability that he has pocket tens himself. So, you know, he's really not representing very much here, and I think I have the best hand, and I think this is just a bluff or maybe a 9 a lot of the time. So it's an interesting spot as far as what is the best play. Is it the best play to flat call or to go ahead and re-raise? You know, if I think the majority of his hands are draws here, then I probably should shove all in and let him call it off, because I won't be able to get value if he misses his draw on the river. And that's what I go ahead and do, is I shove it in. He does call with a 9. He ends up having ace 9, and my hand ends up holding up. So that was a nice double up off of you know, the player that I wanted to play the most pots with, and it worked out nicely. So that gave me some momentum and gave me a stack to play with, and now my odds of at least finishing in the top 3 and getting a ticket to do the same tournament over improve dramatically. Alright, and so they end up getting it in flush draw against top pair, and top pair holds up. So we are now in the money. We are guaranteed at least a $640 ticket to step 6. So that's always nice. It cuts some of the losses if you do go out here. So I raise ace 9 suited and get everyone to fold. And at this point, since I do have a stack, I'm going to get a little more active. I raise pocket 9s again and take down the blinds. And players aren't playing back at me too much. I think most of the players know who I am, and they give me you know, quite a bit of respect. They try not to play too many pots with me, I think, sometimes. So here, blind on blind, I just check. I flop monster hand. You know, with this, I have basically the board crippled. There's not much he can have here because I have a 3 and a 10 in my hand. So I think the best play is definitely just to check and slow play. Try and induce him to bluff, and you know, maybe he'll catch something on the turn or river that improves his hand enough to call a bet or two. So I just check it. And now on the river, it's pretty interesting because it's another 7, and I just called his bet because really the only thing I can beat at that point then is a bluff. If he has a 7, he has a better full house than me. So I can't even raise the river there because how the board came out. If he does have the 7, he has me beat. So I elect to just make the call there. It came out pretty much as bad as the turn was fine, but the river pairing the 7 there. If he does have the 7, he has me beat. So you know, it's just a call for me there on the river, and he does end up having the bluff, and I win that small pot. Okay, so I fold the queen 10 in the small blind there. Okay, next hand it folds to me. I open fold the king 10 here with 2 good players who both love to 3-bet. You know, I elect to just fold here. You know, I probably should be raising this, but because of the players in the blinds, I elected to fold. I have been more active, and I think they're more likely to 3-bet me as a bluff there because of how active I've been. So I fold that one and go to the next hand. So the blinds move up to 100 now. So you know, everyone at the table is getting slightly shorter stacked, and it's important to pay attention to that because some players are now down to like 13 or 14 big blinds, so they're going to be looking just to shove it in. Okay, so I fold that hand. Okay, so with 3 deuce here, I'm just going to let it go. Okay, so that's a standard fold there with Jack 4. Okay, so this time though I do go ahead and raise the King 6, and as I mentioned, I do get shoved on here, so I just have to fold it. Okay, so I fold the 10-7 there as well. Okay, and they end up getting it in, and Young Jedi gets eliminated. So we're now one closer to the top 3, which is the next bubble. Okay, so with 3-8 here, I just make a standard fold. Alright, again, I fold the Ace 4 here for similar reasons. You know, it's, you might ask yourself, why do you raise King 6 and fold Ace 4 and King 10? But, you know, it's not real logical, but it's just kind of the flow of the match and the sit and go. Reasons that I use to sometimes raise or not. And against these players, I think they're going to 3-bet shove too often for it to be profitable. I can't call there with Ace 4, so it's basically, and I don't think they're going to flat call my raise very often as well, so I'm almost never going to get the showdown with the hand unless I call the all-in, so it's a spot where I have to tighten up my range there considerably. Okay, so here, this is another hand that's it's not standard, but I raise it up and Bill Gaze shoves on me, and with my previous thoughts and reads, I think these guys are going to shove pretty wide as a re-steal. In the higher stakes sit and goes, players will do this because players don't really want to call off a lot of their chips with marginal hands, and Ace Jack here is kind of a marginal hand. He can definitely have Ace King and Ace Queen here, as well as bigger pairs than Jacks plus that have me dominated. But I think that he's going to do this with a pretty wide range because he's a good player and he knows I'm going to be raising here pretty light sometimes, and so it's a good play. But this time, because of my thoughts and my reads on that, I do make the call. He ends up having 10-7 offsuit. And the board ran out pretty gross on the turn. I was behind, and I thought I was, going to lose the big pot there, but I ended up hitting the ace on the river, and it worked out. So I knocked out a tough player and also won a bunch of chips there. So that really put me in a good position. At this point, I'm thinking, I have enough chips right now already to play somebody heads up. So I really don't want to take too many chances that are kind of marginal. So I'm just still looking for good spots, and you can see here I fold the 3s to his shove because he's got to shove Ace 2 and Ace 3 there, and pocket 2s for me to have any of his hands dominated, and I'm sure he's capable of doing that, but I'm not sure that he is doing that in this spot on the bubble to get the $2,100 ticket. So I fold the pocket 3s. He ends up having Ace Queen, and the other guy calls him with Ace 4, which was a little surprising, but it worked out for Jake there. The Ace 4, it's pretty marginal. I'm not saying it's a bad play. It's just going to be very marginal and high variance calling there. Okay, so I fold the 9-5 there. When you get a stack like this, you can bully sometimes, but against tough opponents, it's going to be tough to do that. And with them having shorter stacks, they're going to look to shove quite often. And here, standard call with Ace King. ends up holding up for me, and I knock out another good player. So we're now guaranteed at least getting another ticket to redo the same tournament, which is always nice. So you're at this point, you kind of feel like you're free rolling in the tournament because you're guaranteed to at least get the same ticket, and you could potentially get a big payoff with the 12K. Alright, so another big hand develops. I would have much rather have had this guy win that, but that's not the way it worked out. And the coin flip goes to Jake, who, you know, he's been talking some smack to me in chat, and he's kind of an annoying player. He's a good player, but he just likes to run his mouth a lot. And starting off heads up, I did ask him if he wanted to make a deal, and with the structure of this tournament, there's no deal button that you can push because it's a package that you win. So you know, you can make a private deal. I asked him if he wanted to do that, and you know, he's kind of wishy-washy about it. So I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna play it out then. And so I raised 3-9 first hand, take it down. Okay, and you can see we were talking about potentially making a deal, and it never worked out. So we just play it out, and you know, at this point, basically, we're playing for $10,000 because we're guaranteed the $2,100 ticket. The prize for first is $12,000, so we're basically playing for $10,000. And you know, it was really exciting to do that. We're pretty even in chips, and we're both good players, so it's, you know, it's a spot where we probably should make a deal to reduce variance. But you know, with him always talking smack to me and just, you know, being kind of wishy-washy about the deal, I, you know, just chose to play him out, and you know, it works out for me. So here's first interesting hand of heads up. I raise 8-6 on the button, pretty standard, and he 3-bets it, and he has a pretty high 3-bet percentage, and I imagine heads up it's going to be even higher than it is for full ring. So I'm very aware that he's capable of doing this light, and we are deep stacked at this point. So I elect to make the call in position against his wide 3-betting range, and we get a decent flop for my hand. I make a pair of 6s, and I'm sure he's firing this board as a C-bet, probably with 100% of his range. So I'm going to actually have the best hand here a lot of the time. So I make the call, and the turn is a pretty good card for my hand, and he checks to me. So I'm thinking I probably have the best hand at this point, but I definitely cannot stand a check raise all in if I bet here. So I just select to try to get to showdown cheaply and check it back. And the river is another good card for my hand because it doesn't put any more overcards out there. And if I was beat by a 7 before, I'm still beat by it, so it really doesn't change anything. And he checks to me again on the river, so I'm pretty sure I have the best hand at this point. But again, I don't really think I can get paid off here by anything. Maybe a hand like Ace King would look me up. But that's pretty thin, and if I bet here and get check raised all in, it puts me in a really difficult spot. So I like to just go ahead and check it down, and he ends up having Ace Jack, and I win the pot. Okay, so that gives me a slight edge here on him, and if I win the next all-in confrontation, obviously I win the tournament. So that's what I'm looking to do now, is get into an all-in confrontation where I have the best hand or good equity, and you know, leave it up to the poker gods to decide the fates. If I end up winning the confrontation, then I win the match. So that's always nice, having your opponent out chipped. Okay, so heads up, I'm raising Jack 6. I'm going to be raising a pretty wide range, despite him 3-betting. And here you can see, let's replay this hand again. You know, 7-8 offsuit here is a decent hand to 3-bet because it's basically a bluff. If he shoves, it's an easy fold. And it's a hand that can connect with flops and make big hands post flop. So I like to 3-bet it, and he folds. By 3-betting hands like this as well, it gets you more action with your big hands when you have aces, kings, queens in this spot. So if you're not doing plays like this, you should try it out and see how it works for you, because it can make you more money playing poker. Alright, so I make a, defending this hand against a good player heads up is marginal. Ace-8 offsuit could be a fold pre-flop actually, but I defend at that time and just check fold the flop. Okay, so again, I defend Jack-7 here. Against a good player, it's pretty marginal, but again, I just check fold the flop though when I miss. Alright, so now with Ace-Queen, he 3-bets me again. So, he does have a wide 3-betting range, but we did see that he 3-bet Ace-Jack. So, with him having Ace-Jack in his 3-betting range, he's probably got Ace-10 in there, and maybe even some weaker aces, random like suited Ace-5 or something like that. And so I think Ace-Queen is definitely ahead at this point of his range. So the best play, you could either shove here or call, or make even a smaller raise and try and induce him to shove over the top. If I make the small raise here, I think it looks really strong, and I don't think he's going to shove as a bluff. Like probably never. So I think it actually looks weaker to just shove it in here and hope to get hero called by Ace-Jack or Ace-10, and or maybe even King-Queen suited may call here because he is getting shorter stacks. So I do shove it in, and he ends up folding. So there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I pick up more chips and increase my lead on him. So again, he's down to about 20 big blinds, so definitely looking to get it in. He's with Ace-Jack here. Again, I make a standard raise, and again he 3-bets it. With him being shorter stack, I think he's more likely to call if I shove, because he's already 3-bet a very high percentage of his chip stack. So for that reason, again, I think the best play is to shove it in. He's definitely going to look me up here with weaker hands. I think Ace-10 snap calls here. All weaker aces. And he is going to have some pocket pairs he calls here, and we're coin flipping. But he ends up folding, so again, it must have been a bluff there. So that's kind of how you want to combat aggressive 3-betters when you're playing heads up. When you got a decent hand, just go ahead and go with it and shove it in over them. It discourages them from 3-betting in the future, and that's definitely a good thing for you. Alright, so now I have a pretty significant lead. He's down to about 15 big blinds. So, again, here with Ace-Queen, I was hoping he would shove again or 3-bet me, but that didn't work out, and I just take it down. Ace, again, I keep getting these good hands, and he folds, so I'm hoping to close the deal here. And with Ace-King, again, I just raise it up, and he shoves, and I call, and we're in a coin flip. So again, this is exactly the situation I wanted. With the chip lead, if it holds up, I can go ahead and take it down, and it does work out with the ace on the turn. So it was a very good tournament for me and a great Sunday, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck at the tables.